All right, today we're tackling something a little weird. It's about one of the most stable things we have on this planet, gold. But here's the thing, it started behaving erratically. I mean, completely wild. And that volatility, it might just be an alarm bell, screaming that our world is going through a massive, maybe even brutal change. So let's dig in and figure out what's really going on.
I mean, think about it. For thousands of years, gold has been the bedrock, right? The ultimate symbol of stability. So the question we've got to ask is, why has it suddenly gone off the rails? What is it trying to tell us about the ground, literally shifting beneath our feet?
Okay, so to really get what's happening, we have to start with the evidence. And let me be clear, this erratic behavior from gold, it's not just some random market blip. No, it's a symptom of something way, way deeper. Just take a look at the first few months of 2026. I mean, the numbers are just nuts. Gold hits 5,400, then boom, crashes to 4,600. It soars back up to 5,600 in February, only to completely plummet to 4,300 in March before kind of crawling back up. We're not talking about gentle waves here. These are violent, totally unpredictable swings, and they're happening in record time. Yeah, this is not gold acting like that safe, dependable asset we all know. It's acting like, well, a speculative meme coin. And listen, when your ancient, timeless store of value starts behaving like some viral internet token, you just know something is fundamentally broken.
So, here's the crucial point, the main takeaway. We're not really looking at a problem with gold. Nope. We're looking at a world where all the old certainties, things like predictable inflation, stable financial systems, global cooperation, all of that is starting to fracture. Gold, it's just the mirror, and it's reflecting those cracks right back at us.
Now, to really get why this matters so much, we kind of need a quick history lesson on what makes gold so special in the first place. And its story? Well, it doesn't even begin on Earth. It begins in the heart of cosmic explosions. That's where we're headed next. You heard that right. Gold is basically alien. It wasn't born here on our planet. It was forged in these insane, cataclysmic events called kilonovas, sync two neutron stars colliding. The gold we have today is literally the leftovers of ancient stardust that rained down on a very young Earth. And that right there is why it's so incredibly rare and precious. And for thousands of years, humanity has just gotten it. People have recognized its unique properties, from the very first coins minted in Lydia to being the backbone of the entire Roman Empire and then eventually the gold standard in the 19th century. Gold became the universal language of value. Even governments knew its power. Just look at 1933, when the U.S. government actually banned private ownership just to control the economy during the Great Depression. That's how important it was.
But all of that changed in the 20th century. A massive decision was made to basically unhitch the entire global economy from its golden anchor. And that decision, it set the stage for the exact world we live in today. So after World War II, you get this thing called the Bretton Woods Agreement, and it creates a whole new system. The US dollar was tied to gold, and every other currency was tied to the US dollar. So gold was still the foundation, but it was kind of one step removed, And it put the US right at the center of global finance. And then 1971 happens. President Nixon, all on his own, just severs the link. He ends the dollar's convertibility to gold. And just like that, for the first time in modern history, the world's money was backed by, well, nothing but faith in the government's printing it. This was a huge pivotal shift. So let's break that down. Before 71, gold was the anchor. Simple as that. It put a cap on how much money could be printed. It enforced discipline. But after 71, its role did a complete 180. It became the safe haven. It became this asset that's totally independent of any government, a place you could run to when you start to lose faith in the system itself. And, well, it sure seems like a lot of people are losing faith right now. So let's play doctor for a second. Let's diagnose this crisis. What exactly is going on in our world that's making gold, the ultimate safe haven, behave so erratically? First off, let's be super clear. This is not normal. Historically, gold's annual volatility hangs out around, say, 15%. But now, we're seeing spikes all the way up to 50%. This isn't just a minor tremor, folks. This is a full-blown seismic shift. It looks like there are three powerful forces feeding this fever. First, you've got geopolitical fragmentation. The world is literally breaking up into competing blocks. Second, our whole financial system is shaky. We're wrestling with high inflation, unpredictable interest rates, massive debt. And third, you have market psychology. It's just taken over and it's being driven by pure, raw fear.
And all that creates this really bizarre tug of war. On one hand, people are rushing to buy gold out of fear that the whole system might collapse. That's for protection, right? But then, on the other hand, when a crisis actually hits, they need cash just to survive. So they're forced to sell. It's this deep conflict between protection and survival that's causing these absolutely violent price swings.
What this means is that we are now in a totally panic-driven market. Prices aren't moving based on intrinsic value anymore. They're moving based on stories, on narratives, on collective emotion. It's this toxic cocktail of FOMO, fear of missing out on the way up, and this crushing fear of total collapse on the way down.
Okay, so what does this all mean for us, for you and me? Because this isn't just about some asset on a chart. This is about the world we're all about to live in.
The signals couldn't be clearer. This global uncertainty we're feeling, it isn't temporary. It's baked into the system now. Those traditional safe havens, they can't really protect you from this kind of short-term chaos. Trust in our institutions is just eroding. And here's the kicker. The fallout from this new era is going to hit ordinary people the hardest.
I want you to just let that sink in for a second. Most of us grew up assuming that stability was the default setting for the world, right? But going forward, that stability might become the rare exception. It might become the anomaly.
So the big question is, how do we navigate this new reality? Well, first things first, diversify. You've got to stop looking for a single magic bullet asset because it doesn't exist anymore. Second, prioritize liquidity. In a crisis, cash is absolutely king because survival is way more important than potential returns. Third, you've got to upgrade your mindset. You need to understand the stories that are moving the market because those narratives change way faster than fundamentals. And finally, step 4, prepare for competition. The margin for error is shrinking fast. Being average just isn't going to be enough to get by. And ultimately, this all brings us to a really powerful realization. When we see gold acting so erratically, maybe, just maybe, the problem isn't with gold at all. Maybe gold is actually perfectly stable, and it's the world around it that has completely lost its old form. And that leaves us with one final and probably the most important question. We know we're living through a historic transition. That part's clear. The real challenge, for all of us, is to figure out which direction this world is changing, and, maybe more importantly, where do you stand in the middle of it all?